Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Government House. My name is Hugh Borromer and I have the honour to be the official secretary to Her Excellency the Governor. I'll be the Master of Ceremonies today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are able, can I now please invite you to stand for the arrival of Her Excellency and Mr Bunton and remain standing for the playing of the Vice-Regal Salute. Please be seated.
Gana bogana aile, gana miena aile, yaitcha miena aile, kumatana yachanako, yatu na company, gana miena, yaitcha yata atane, ukanako yalaka takaricha. Dearest Ghana elders, Ghana people, and Aboriginal people of other lands and regions. Welcome to all of you. I acknowledge and pay my respects to you, and I also acknowledge that we're meeting today on Ghana land. The Ghana people, of course, are the traditional owners of this land in the past, today, and into the future. Welcome to everyone. This is a very special day. Special not only for the recipients of awards sitting patiently at the back of the room, but very special for all of you too. It's a day to enjoy and remember, and Rod and I want you to feel very much at home here at Government House. We do regard Government House as a place for all South Australians, a house for all South Australians. We know occasions like this can sometimes feel a little, well, make people nervous, I suppose you would say. And what we really want to do is encourage you to feel as comfortable today for the award recipients as you have clearly always felt on every day that you've given the service that you've given. For those of you at the front, of course, you know very well the details of the service of the individual you know best we're honouring today. But what I hope you'll discover in the course of the ceremony is just what wonderful service has been given by others. The Order of Australia is Australia's national honours scheme, and its whole purpose is to acknowledge exceptional achievement and outstanding service. And that all adds up to quite a lot. It's pretty exceptional, really. And one of the reasons it's exceptional is that award winners typically don't seek recognition. They're often surprised to learn that they're to receive it. They're humbled by it. Some of them, as I've discovered in the past, don't even believe that the email that they've received is a real email in these days of phishing and all sorts of other things. Some people have owned up to deleting them, even after consultation with their spouses. So I'm very glad that you did not delete today. And I'm also glad that whoever it was, and mostly you and we, myself amongst that, I don't know who nominated us, but each of you were nominated by another Australian who saw something outstanding or exceptional in your service. And I want to encourage you, but really everyone here, and now that you know what outstanding looks like, what exceptional looks like, to be on the lookout for others who you might nominate. I also want to, I know our official party has already been acknowledged by name, but I simply want to say today that to have the Premier here, to have the former Premier here together, I think speaks volumes about the importance that our elected leaders pay to the Order of Australia and to recipients within it. So please enjoy today. Please think about others in future who might be given a similar opportunity to come here and have their service acknowledged too. Official Secretary, over to you.
Your Excellency, the following appointment to Member of the Order of Australia in the General Division has been made. Mrs Vicky Lee Wellgraven is recognised for significant service to women through social welfare organisations and to Indigenous health. An Andyamatna woman from the Northern Flinders Ranges, Mrs. Walgraven is a passionate advocate for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women. In 2009, she co-founded the South Australia Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Women's Alliance, sitting on its board from 2014 to 2016. As part of her role, she travelled to New York as a representative to the 2016 United Nations Commission on the Status of Women conference. As a champion for women from all walks of life, Mrs. Walgraven has been involved in countless community and advocacy groups. She is a board member of Our Watch and a member of the UN Women Australia. In the past, she has sat on the board of Reconciliation South Australia and has been a member of the Premier's Council for Women and the Adelaide City Council Reconciliation Committee. She is a past chairperson of Nungaminima Incorporated and has been an ambassador for the Australia Day Council of South Australia and an advocate for White Ribbon Australia. Her work has led to awards and recognition, including being inducted into the South Australian Women's Honour Roll in 2015. Mrs. Vicky Lee Walgraven. Your Excellency, the Public Service Medal has been awarded to the following recipients. Mr. Mark Joseph Connolly is recognised for outstanding public service to achieving outcomes for the Anangu communities. Mr. Connolly was the inaugural Principal Manager who single-handedly established the APY Lands Trade Training Centre in 2012, providing significant vocational education and training opportunities. His work has resulted in 55% of people on the APY lands participating in the Centre's programs. He has fostered connections between the Centre and many different organisations in many different fields, including Aboriginal health. In addition, the Department of Families, Housing, Community Services and Indigenous Affairs engaged him to restructure community councils and to develop a more representative model of community governance based on family groupings across the communities of Yalata, Indalkana, Mimili and Ernabella. Mr. Connolly has worked in the APY Lands TAFE program and secured funding for the Pipalyat Chachara Kalka community's first ever learning centre. He looked after the construction of community learning centres in Indalkana and Fregon and coordinated the training of the first group of Anangu to deliver cultural awareness workshops to non-Indigenous people. Highly respected by the communities, Mr. Connolly has worked with up to 5 generations of families and has achieved outstanding outcomes for students, families and the broader community through 30 years of dedicated service to the Anangu. Mr. Mark Joseph Connolly. Mrs. Sarah Elizabeth Fleming is recognised for outstanding public service to the development and provision of paediatric palliative care services. Mrs. Fleming has been the Clinical Services Director of the Paediatric Palliative Care Service at the Women's and Children's Hospital in South Australia for more than 20 years. The service, which she pioneered, provides care annually to approximately 30 children who are living with a life-limiting or life-threatening condition, as well as supporting their families and the wider community. Under her stewardship, the service has expanded to include a wide range of professionals, including doctors, nurses, an educator, a social worker, and an art therapist, as well as grief and loss support. Mrs. Fleming has been instrumental in developing statewide and hospital-specific policies and procedures to guide best practice and is a regular presenter at national and international conferences. Recently, she initiated and developed the Paediatric Palliative Care Australia and New Zealand Association. Mrs. Fleming worked in partnership with a planning team to build and open Lakanyeri Beach House in 2017, which is designed, constructed and medically equipped to meet the needs of children with complex healthcare needs, supporting families to take a holiday and build lasting memories. Mrs. Sarah Elizabeth Fleming. Mr. Kirk Richardson is recognised for outstanding public service in developing and implementing key projects for the City of Onkaparinga. Mr. Richardson has worked for the City of Onkaparinga for 32 years in a range of operational and leadership roles. He is currently the Director of City Operations. Known for his ability to create practical and cost-effective solutions to long-term community issues, Mr. Richardson has been responsible for leading the planning and delivery of numerous important infrastructure, social and environmental projects and programs. These include library and community buildings, redevelopment of public spaces in the foreshore, road, coastal and stormwater management, and water harvesting through the Waterproofing the South project. Mr. Richardson is a board member of Southern Region Waste Resource Authority, in which council waste is routed to the local Resource Recovery Centre and either processed as landfill or recycled rather than being sent overseas. Mr. Richardson is highly valued for his commitment to the community, camaraderie, selfless service, and his hands-on approach. Mr. Kirk Richardson. Your Excellency, the Australian Fire Service Medal is awarded to the following recipients. Mr. Malcolm Allen Amos is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the Country Fire Service. Mr. Amos joined the South Australia Country Fire Service in 1976 and has devoted himself to 45 years of unbroken community service. He held the position of Captain of the Eden Hills Brigade for 8 years before moving to key roles in the State Incident Management Team. His wisdom and interpersonal skills have made him an outstanding mentor to members of the brigade, with young volunteers greatly benefiting from his support. Mr. Amos has strong links to the farming community and has offered moral support and practical assistance to those who have suffered loss as a result of the bushfires. He also recognised the effects that attending traumatic events were having on his team and began a system of professional debriefing, counselling and ongoing support. Mr. Amos has undertaken interstate deployments to many of Australia's major bushfire incidents, where his leadership was critical to the safety, direction and well-being on the ground of firefighters and pivotal to the eventual conclusion of large-scale incidents. Mr. Malcolm Allen Amos. Mr. Timothy Cooper is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the Country Fire Service. Mr. Cooper has been a member of the South Australian Country Fire Service for more than 4 decades, specialising in training delivery and coordination. In the past 10 years, he has been heavily involved in the delivery of training and appliances across northern South Australia, including the APY lands, devoting an average of 8 weekends a year to the task. Most recently, Mr. Cooper and a small group of other trainers reviewed the latest version of the Basic Firefighting 1 training packages and provided valuable feedback before its release. He has held the position of Group Training Coordinator with the Bundaleer Group since he first joined the CFS and has been part of the regional and state volunteer training committees since their inception in 1997. Mr. Cooper remains active in attending incidents and has been an exceptional fire services leader who has always demonstrated the highest levels of professionalism. He is a worthy role model to others. Mr. Timothy Cooper. Mr. Andrew James Higgins is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the Metropolitan Fire Service. Mr. Higgins commenced with the South Australian Metropolitan Fire Service in 1998 and has been an exemplary employee throughout his career. Born and bred in Whyalla, he comes from a family of firefighters. Mr. Higgins' leadership and management of the Whyalla station contributes to a highly professional environment. He is mentor to many MFS firefighters who all have high regard and the utmost respect for his knowledge and experience. His leadership, decision-making and professionalism during a major fire at One Steel in 2012 prevented significant damage to critical infrastructure and was widely praised by SA Police, the Metropolitan Fire Service and One Steel management. As a retained firefighter, Mr. Higgins manages family life and maintains a full-time career with SA Water, while continuing a distinguished career dedicating countless hours to serving the community of Whyalla. Mr. Andrew James Higgins. Mr. Guy Stephen Uren is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the Metropolitan Fire Service. Mr. Uren commenced with the South Australian Metropolitan Fire Service in 1988. He progressed through the ranks and in 2004 achieved the rank of Commander. Mr. Uren has undertaken several key roles, some involving critical project management functions. He repeatedly demonstrates his willingness to perform his duties in an exemplary manner and volunteers for responsibilities above and beyond what is required. He supported the coordination of several intrastate and interstate deployments of MFS firefighters, including to the bushfires in New South Wales and Kangaroo Island. He willingly undertook these responsibilities in his own time. Mr. Uren led the development and implementation of the Gartan and Sapphire rostering systems, working to enable live reporting of all MFS operational staffing requirements. This extremely complex undertaking requires in-depth knowledge, consultation, and service excellence. His actions and commitment exemplify loyalty, respect, integrity, and selflessness, demonstrating his dedication to improving the fire service. Mr. Guy Stephen Uren. Your Excellency, the Ambulance Service Medal has been awarded to the following recipients. Mrs. Nicole Bastian is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the South Australian Ambulance Service. Mrs. Bastian has worked for the SAAS for 17 years. Currently the Operations Manager for the Emergency Operations Centre, she manages staff providing triage and advice to 000 callers. Committed to promoting patient-centred service delivery, she is known for her willingness to mentor staff and promote growth and development of all employees. Mrs. Bastian's expertise and leadership abilities have served her well during very challenging situations, most recently as part of the COVID-19 incident management team. She also managed the ambulance services response during the statewide blackout during the 2016 and the 2019 bushfires. Recognised as a national expert in her field, Mrs. Bastian was the driving force behind the Ambulance Service's successful accreditation as a Centre of Excellence with the International Academy of Emergency Dispatch. SAAS remains the only Australian ambulance service to achieve and maintain this status. Mrs. Nicole Bastian. Mr. Lawrence Sylvester Tomney is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the South Australian Ambulance Service. He has been a widely respected volunteer ambulance officer in Streaky Bay for nearly 50 years, supporting his community while operating his own grain farm. He has made an immense contribution to the SA Ambulance Service, providing his experience and local knowledge as a trained pilot to assist in search and rescue operations. His willingness to teach and mentor new members and his genuine care for patients have been described as exceptional. Through his years of experience and knowledge, he has successfully guided other volunteers through demanding incidents and debriefs, which has assisted with the retention of volunteers in the area. Known for his dedication and his friendliness, Mr. Tomney has also contributed to the CFS and local football clubs. His strong standing in the community led to his naming as the Streaky Bay Citizen of the Year in 2015. Mr. Lawrence Sylvester Tomney. Your Excellency, the Australian Corrections Medal has been awarded to the following recipients. Mr. Jamie Edward Goldsmith is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the Correctional Services of South Australia. Mr. Goldsmith has worked in the Department for Correctional Services South Australia since 2016. As a proud Kaurna, Narangga and Ngarrindjeri man, Mr. Goldsmith has been instrumental in the review and implementation of culturally appropriate programs, ensuring the care and custody of Aboriginal people is managed with respect and compassion. He has acted as manager for Aboriginal projects and for Aboriginal offender management and rehabilitation services within the department. Mr. Goldsmith is the co-chair of the department's Reconciliation Action Plan Working Group, focusing on creating a culturally safe environment for Aboriginal staff, prisoners and stakeholders. He delivers the Cultural Awareness Program for Aboriginal prisoners, Our Way, My Choice, as well as the Violence Prevention Program for Aboriginal men. He also redesigned and leads the department's cultural awareness training for staff. Mr. Jamie Edward Goldsmith. Mr. Troy Proctor is recognised for distinguished service to the community within the Correctional Services of South Australia. Mr. Proctor has been an officer with the Department for Correctional Services for more than 32 years. He spent the majority of his career at the Adelaide Remand Centre as a recreation supervisor, where he positively contributed to the lives of remandees by providing tailored health programs and motivating prisoners to make healthier lifestyle choices. Respected for his leadership and communication skills, Mr. Proctor is second in charge of the Emergency Response Group, which responds to high-risk incidents in prisons. At Yatala Labour Prison, he has helped to establish the activities team to create meaningful activity and positive prisoner engagement. Mr. Proctor also contributes to the Y22 project, a significant redevelopment of the Yatala Labour Prison, which is transforming the facility into a safer, more efficient place for staff and for prisoners. Mr. Troy Proctor. Your Excellency, that concludes the presentations for this morning.